Hello, it's Phil Thatch, and I'm out here on the back porch today playing around with my second, I know I have a problem, this is my second Helios 44-2. My first one is from 1976 and this one is from 1981. They're the same exact lens, although I think they were made in different plants, but the same thing. And I also bought an extension tube for it. But this extension tube, it's an M42 extension tube made by Focus, which is the same company that made my M42 to Z-mount adapter, but this one has a Focus Helicoid on it. So that's pretty cool. They have lots of different sizes. I think I got the next to smallest size because I just wanted to get a little bit closer with the Helios to flowers. And it's working pretty good, and it's gone now. Out here at the Mexican sunflowers that I have growing on my back porch, there was a butterfly. I'm not sure exactly what kind it is. I will look that up, and by the time I show you the pictures, I'll know what kind it is. But I was able to make a few photographs, macro photographs, with a Helios 44-2, and I even made some video of the butterfly working its way around and doing some munching on this Mexican sunflower that I've got growing. So while I've kind of gotten started, I guess I'll do some more macro photography with the Helios and the extension tube with Focus Helicoid. I misspoke in the previous clip where I said I ordered the next to smallest size. I actually ordered the smallest size, which is 12 to 19 millimeters. I didn't want to have extra close focus like a real macro lens. That wasn't what I was looking for. I just wanted to get a little bit closer than the minimum focus distance is without a tube. And the 12 to 19 works really well. I wish they made like a 12 to 26 instead of a 15 to 26, because there was a couple of times when I wanted to get a little bit closer than I could get with the 12 to 19. So I think if I was to do it all over again, I might get the 15 to 26 instead. But I was still satisfied with the 12 to 19, and it's, as I went to Amazon today to try to make this screenshot, they're sold out of the one that I bought now, the 12 to 19, but its pricing was very similar to the 15 to 26, right around $20. Alright, let's get started with the photographs. Here is a Mexican sunflower with the Helios and the extension tube. There's a sweat bee on it, and a sweat bee just like that one, or it might have been that one, bit me right on the neck during this photo shoot, and that was completely uncomfortable. And you'll notice on all these pictures the f-stop is unknown because that lens doesn't transmit to the camera, but they're all somewhere between f2 and f5.6. Here is a in-focus photograph with a manual focus lens, 58 millimeters, of an American painted lady butterfly on the Mexican sunflowers. Really happy to get this. Didn't think I'd ever get a butterfly photograph with such a small lens, but this butterfly was really patient. Here I made this video clip with the 58, and she's out of focus now, but she will eventually work her way right into the depth of field from the focus point that I had set up. So I was really happy that she came into focus for me, and it was fun to make a video clip of her butterfly with a 58 millimeter lens on full frame. What a patient butterfly she was. She hung around for quite a while, and then she left and never came back. Here is my black-eyed Susan that I planted this spring on the back porch, and the bloom in the foreground is completely at the end of its life cycle, or nearly completely at the end of its life cycle, and the bloom in the background, juxtapositioned and out of focus, is just beginning its life cycle. So I thought that was fun to see kind of the circle of life in terms of black-eyed Susan blooms. Right here it looks like the milkweed that my sister's husband sprouted for me, and I've planted in this pot back here with the Mexican sunflowers, is starting to bloom, or maybe not bloom, but it's budding. And so I used the Helios and the extension tube on the Z6 to make some photographs of it, and it looks like when I'm doing shots this close, which is way closer than the minimum focus distance of the lens is supposed to be, f2 is not working all that great. So I've been using f4 and f5.6 and even f8 and even f11, but I don't have enough digits to show you that. But f2 is not working that great, but it still is nice and beautifully bokehfied in the background at f4. Well, after all that demonstration with my digits, of what aperture I was using throughout this video, almost everything is at f4 or f5.6 or f2 or 2.8. This is looking down at the milkweed, and I thought the milkweed blooms or buds were really beautiful, and I'm pretty sure this shot looking across at the milkweed buds, I'm pretty sure this is f2 wide open on the Helios 44-2, and I really think it turned out beautifully. What do you think?
You know, I could make these photographs with macro lenses or any of those flower lenses that I compared for the Z50 a few videos back. But I'm enjoying using the Helios and this extension tube. You know, the Helios has the lens flare, which I'm not experiencing that at all right now. I'm not in the right shooting conditions for the lens flare. And it has the swirly bokeh, which I'm really not getting that out of it in this situation either. But I'm enjoying shooting with it, and I think the out of focus characteristics of this lens and the out of focus areas are really beautiful. It's hard to get an in focus area with this lens, but I'm working at it. Still got a lot to learn with this lens, but I'm really enjoying shooting with it today. And you know, here's some of the Mexican sunflowers that I sprouted, and this is a black-eyed Susan that I love to photograph. And here's another pot of Mexican sunflowers, and right here is the milkweed that's just now starting to go.
Okay, so here is a Mexican sunflower bloom that's right in its prime, absolutely in perfect condition. And what I did for this one is I put the pot of black-eyed Susan flowers in the background so you can see some extremely bokeh-fied yellow splotches in the background of the shot. I think it came out really beautifully. And then for this next shot, I think the background flower is the flower from the previous shot, and then there's a Mexican sunflower that's almost at the end of its blooming life in the foreground. And soon I may try to harvest some of those blooms and replant some flowers. That's what my sister's husband has been doing for years with these.
Here's a shot I've worked on for the last few minutes. I'm photographing this already dead or not blooming anymore bloom on this Mexican sunflower, but I have this one in the background, and I was shooting it vertical, and you know, the blooms were leaning way over like this, and I decided I'd rather have them straight in the frame, so I've just leaned my camera over to kind of match the angle of the dead bloom. It doesn't exactly match the still good shape bloom in the background that's going to be totally bokeh-fied. Some of these shots have worked pretty good at f2, and some of the earlier shots I've needed to stop down to f4 or 5.6, but this one's looking pretty good at f2. And so you can't really see that this angle is wrong in this weird shot.
Okay, so like I said in the previous clip, I'm pretty sure this one is at f2. And you can't tell that I made this photograph with the camera leaning way over crazy, but that's how I made it. And I love the totally out of focus bloom in the background, but you can still tell what it is, and the relatively sharp foreground.
I'm working now on this bud, this Mexican sunflower bloom that hasn't come out yet. And I'm kind of starting to get my head around how to make these compositions look right and how to get the aperture kind of at the sweet spot. So what I've been doing is I'll get my composition set up just right, and then I'll stop down with this ring. It's a clickless aperture ring on this Helios, and I'll stop down to about f8. And then, you know, I've got two different focuses. I've got the focus on the lens and the focus on the helicoid on the extension tube. I'll get it dialed in as good as I can. Maybe I'll zoom 10x. And then I'll look at the background, and I can turn the aperture ring and kind of find the best happy medium between a sharp subject and a nicely blown out background. And a lot of times it's right around f4, or what I would guess is f4 on this clickless aperture. So that's kind of a nice way to do it. And I'm shooting automatic ISO, and I'll change exposure with exposure compensation. And there's a little bit of breeze, so I'm at about 1/250th, 2-second timer, and 2 shots on each attempt.
Look at this beautiful Mexican sunflower bud just about to open up into a bloom. It's not extraordinarily sharp, but I think the amount of sharpness that I was able to get in this photograph kind of adds to the artistic quality of it. And I love the way there's some warm tint around the bud, but it's kind of cool everywhere else.
Well, it's been fun doing flower photography out here on the back porch this afternoon with the Z6 and the Helios 44-2 and some extension tubes, or an extension tube with a Focus Helicoid. I hope you enjoyed the photos, and if you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the bell. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.